Charlie Kirk is back at it again, praising senators, soft praising senators like Joe Manchin for possibly holding up the Democratic agenda. Now, let's listen to what Charlie has to say. Listen to how he reveals himself on how he actually feels about the American people, poor people, and the people who voted for Donald Trump, and ultimately the base of his own media group.
If Chuck Schumer wants to do the nuclear option, he's going to need 50 votes to do that, which would be an incredibly aggressive move by him. But here's the wonderful news I have to share with you today. Senator Kyrsten Sinema from Arizona and Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia, if you believe them, which we have no reason not to because they have fought for the filibuster protections previously, have said, under no circumstances, we will not change our mind, and we are going to keep the filibuster. So what does that mean? The Daily Caller, I think, summarizes this the best. With Democrats retaking the Senate, they'll be able to control congressional committees, allowing them to hold hearings and issue subpoenas of their choosing. They'll have enough votes to confirm judicial nominees without Republican support. But they will likely not have enough support to pass many progressive priorities, like court packing, Green New Deal, state additions, since Senate rules allow lawmakers to filibuster most pieces of legislation, essentially allowing them to block its passage. Democrats can, however, pass certain legislation with a simple majority called budget reconciliation, which attempts legislation pertaining to taxes and broader government spending, which was used to the Tax Cut Act back in 2017. So while Democrats likely do not have the votes to enact policies like D.C. statehood, gerrymandering reforms, and they still theoretically could pass parental leave, infrastructure spending, coronavirus relief. So there's a lot of nonsense that will be packed, but nothing that couldn't be reversed, and nothing that dramatically alters the trajectory of the nation. You want to know what would change the trajectory of the nation? New seats on the United States Supreme Court, new states being added, the abolition of the Electoral College in H.R. 1. Because Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin have said, we are not going to change Senate precedent on that. Chuck Schumer is now left with now having to find 60-vote consensus on all major pieces of legislation. What does that mean? The Democrat wish list to fundamentally destroy America is temporarily put on hold.
Okay. First of all, this is absolutely ridiculous. Anybody who defends the filibuster or supports the filibuster is an idiot. And I can tell you right now that there are a lot of things that I feel like the Democrats are, very I criticize the Democrats a lot for their policies. Not going far enough. Ending the filibuster is not something that I would criticize. Okay. I think the American people universally agree, no matter what side of the aisle they're on, Democrat or Republican, that the filibuster is a bad idea. I mean, we're talking about something that was used to try to keep slavery, to try to keep the civil rights from being passed, act being passed over the years historically, and now they're trying to use it to block you from getting your $2,000 check. Well, I'm sorry, $1,400 because the Dems are liars, but $2,000 checks, right? Or a total of $200, whatever you want to call it. Look, I don't care. The Republicans are trying to block you from getting checks by using the filibuster. Okay? They will block anything that is good unless the filibuster is removed. Now, Republicans are very hypocritical in this matter because when Democrats had a supermajority, what did they say? When Democrats used the filibuster, what did they say? They're using the filibuster. Why don't you just let the process go on and stuff? But now that they're in the minority, they're like, the filibuster is good. We need the filibuster. Democrats are too radical for trying to get rid. Imagine defending the filibuster. All it does is keep good legislation from being passed. But of course, if you're a Republican, you don't want any good legislation being passed. because you don't want to help people. You don't care about people. You don't care about reforms. You're a conservative. You're conserving in ideology. You want to keep things the same. You're inhibiting and impeding progress. So, of course, you don't care. Now, what else does he say there? Notice all the radical things that he says, the normal stuff. He said they could probably still get some other things done, like, he lists things, and he's like, the Democrats, the things they want to do, like, statehood or court packing, the whatever. Which, if you think court packing is the mainstream agenda of Democrats, like, you live under a rock, because most Democrats, at least most conservative Democrats, do not support court packing. Although they may be changing their mind on that with the way things have gone. But he talks about court packing, and then notice how he lumps the relief checks in there. It says, oh yeah, it's ridiculous too. They want to give out relief checks, or they want to pass a $1.9 trillion stimulus bill. Ridiculous. So there are some ridiculous things they can pass here, like help for the American people. This is the thing. Like, this is why I hate right-wing media so much, because if it was not for the media and the way they frame things, and also if it wasn't for the Democrats also playing identity politics, taking a knee with a kente cloth, or, saying amen and a woman. If we didn't have such stupid shit going on like these things, no one would vote for the Republicans. No one would vote for the Republicans. And also, if you got rid of gerrymandering districts, they would lose. They'd be the most unpopular party in the country. The Republican Party is not popular. They have big money donors. They gerrymander districts. And they appeal to people who are racist or who are homophobic, transphobic, whatever. And that's how they get their votes. And, of course, there are other groups that aren't bigoted that vote for Republicans. Like Christians vote for them because, let's say, their views on abortion, for instance, or their, whatever views they might have, or they think like, oh, Jesus would vote Republican or whatever. So yes, there are some people who are racist and bigoted who vote that way. There are some people who are not. They just feel like that there are more Christian values in the Republican Party. But the truth be told, the people who actually agree with Republican and conservative ideals are in the minority. Like, the people who actually agree that tax breaks for the wealthy are a good thing are in the minority. No one agrees with that. No one agrees with that. The people who agree that we shouldn't get stimulus checks, I believe they said 91% of the country, Democrats and Republicans, were in favor of the stimulus checks last time I checked. So, why are these people still in office? It's only because of stuff like this. It's right-wing media, it's propaganda, and it's the idiosyncrasies of the action, in the inaction of the Democratic Party to take advantage of power and to use their power for good. If Democrats actually had a progressive agenda that they were pushing, and if they weren't trying to do this identity politics stuff, and if we could get rid of gerrymandering, Republicans would lose all their grip on power. All their grip on power. They'd be like the Green Party, essentially. No offense too, because I love the Green Party. I have a lot of friends in the Green Party. But not as far as policy. Green Party has the right positions on most things. But as far as popularity, they'd be like the Green Party. There'd be a couple of people in there or whatever, but they wouldn't have any actual real power. They might win a seat here or there. Everything. But so Charlie Kirk is showing you what his ideology is. And he's showing you what the ideology of the Republican Party has become under Donald Trump. And even under George W. Bush. Tax the wealthy, Reaganites, trickle-down economics, and don't do anything to change anything because we just want things to stay the same so we can keep getting paid by our donors. I mean, so America doesn't get destroyed. Ridiculous. He actually said that giving $2,000 checks was part of the agenda to destroy America. You think it's destroying Americans to put food on their table? They said 1 in 3 people in this country is experiencing food hardships. There are food lines all over the country. People who have previously been able to feed themselves and take care of themselves can no longer do it. And people who are living paycheck to paycheck already and were already getting paid the low wage, when they get laid off, they had no money. No money. Absolutely no money. And you think that it's a ridiculous idea to give people relief checks through budget reconciliation? Charlie, you claim to be a populist. You claim to be on the side of the people. Why don't you call out your Republican senators that you also love, your dear leaders? Why don't you call them out for obstructing the coronavirus relief packages and trying to not give money to the American people while simultaneously giving as much money as possible to the 1%? How about that? That'd make a great segment. You know, I think people would actually enjoy the honesty and integrity in that segment. So, of course, Charlie is revealing himself for what he really is. A person who does not care about poor people, who does not care about the bottom, who only cares about the wealthy class and the people who are funding him over at One American News and the people who pay him to say whatever they want. You know, and people like Charlie Kirk, don't let we're independent media, don't let that fool you. They're just much as establishment cucks as everybody else. Establishment says, hey, bitch, say that relief checks are bad. Yes, master. Yes, master. I'll do that. Yes. Absolutely pathetic. Just pathetic. That you would say that giving relief to people is an extreme position. Ridiculous. And also later on in the video, I didn't include the clip, but he says they want to pass social welfare reforms, other ridiculous things like that. Imagine thinking that reforming our sad, sorry excuse for social welfare is ridiculous. Imagine thinking that grandma should not die because she can't pay for her medical bills because she has cancer and her husband lost her job and now she doesn't have insurance. Imagine thinking that allowing her to die is the right thing to do and that we shouldn't pay everyone's medical bills. No, you're wrong. It's barbaric. It's barbaric to have a system where you make people pay for medical bills. And if they can't pay, well, too bad. You just don't get the care. If you have a cavity, or you can't afford dental insurance, oh, too bad. Guess you're just gonna your teeth are gonna have to fall out. How ridiculous is that? How many times do I have to say it? Like, they reveal themselves for who they are because when you look at what he's saying here, he's attacking popular positions. He's attacking the idea that people should get a relief check and that the social welfare system should be expanded. These are overwhelmingly popular ideas. They're so popular that he has to throw in unpopular ideas like court packing and things of that nature to try to make it sound good. Oh my God, man. Fuck, man. This shit is ridiculous. Like, every day, like Charlie Kirk has got about 2 brain cells in that little head of his. About 2. And that's being generous. Being very generous. So, bringing it back in. Now, I just want everyone to understand that these people do not care about you. If maybe you're a conservative who you want to balance the budget and make sure we don't spend irresponsibly, that's fine. No problem with that. But do realize that people like Charlie Kirk do not care about you and do not have your best interests at heart.